Yo, welcome back to Wook Plus. I'm Weekend Wook, joined by Kev the Great Went. Kev, what a good show, man. What'd you think?
I think that like Brian, the word Brian used is patience. Is
Yeah,
Trey was very patient both nights. It felt like he had a zen about what was going on.
there was a whole vibe in that room, and both nights. Yeah, you're right. At the Nutter Center, that just like it felt like they were just so comfortable and just doing their thing without any anticipation or expectations or any other bullshit. They were just doing it, living it. And I think they were playing great. It really came across. Wait, why do I have to say that Ruby Waves is a banger? Of course I do. I think so. I mean, I have thoughts on it, ups
Were,
and
were,
downs. We'll
were we
get there.
talking shit about Ruby Waves last night? Maybe.
It sounds right. That sounds like something I would do. I don't remember, but what's up, Savvy? I see. How you guys doing? All right, let's get into it because
Dun,
there's a
dun,
lot of shit
dun.
here. Ba-da-ba,
Huge
ba-da-ba.
opener. Huge.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, we've had this debate a couple of times now. In my opinion, this is the way to open a show. I think
Mhm.
diving right into the jam, getting everybody loose, getting a little exploratory, a little spacey, not too spacey, right? But they got a little bit out there. I think I like it a lot. I think this is the way I like a show to open.
All right, let's ask the chat this. The people who were there for Set Break will have heard this. Is Sigma Oasis or Set Your Soul Free more recognizable?
Yeah, or known or popular. I think they're both pretty well known at this point, but
Right. I
um,
really enjoyed the Set Your Soul Free. It felt like everything. Remember, I was saying Bliss adjacent. It felt
yeah, I
like
wrote
that
that down
again
too.
tonight. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Bliss adjacent. They didn't quite go there, which I liked because you're used to the Bliss. That's what you expect to happen.
Well, it was cool because they were playing with the tones and the grays of the spectrum a little bit. Like instead of going full bliss or full dark, they were like bliss adjacent. And I was actually starting to think of it like coffee. Like it was like a mild roast, right? Like it wasn't like a full dark roast, but like it started to get a little bit darker. But they were playing in that middle portion of the spectrum, not going to the extremes, but also giving enough variation to keep it interesting, right? I think for a while they were just straight bliss or straight dark, and this felt a little more nuanced. Yeah, Sigma Oasis is more well known. I agree. Kev's whole premise is that Sigma was a bad opener because the
Bad choice. It
half
wasn't
the
a
people in the
bad
crowd wouldn't know it,
right.
but I think they know it.
The performance carried through was legitimate, but it was the placement. That was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the thing. So we get the first of 3 mic-led vocals tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. And I,
Mm.
I thought it was great. Funky
I like
bitch,
Funky Bitch. Yeah, it's
specifically. You know what it is?
uh,
I was listening and I'm like, God damn, why can't Mike sound like this every time he sings? You know? Because then you get like Crazy Sometimes or 555 the other night, and then I realized it's the way he writes his own songs, which is nuts to me because he's the one writing them. Why would he write the vocal parts out of range? So he always is reaching and not hitting the
he wants
notes.
to challenge himself.
He needs a close partner or buddy
He
to
needs
like
broccoli.
tell him, yes. Well, he needs somebody to be like, nah, dude, don't do that.
I don't think any of them really have filters though. And that was always my thing with the lyrics on Goes to the Forest. Trey didn't
Yeah.
have anybody look at him and say, maybe tone this back. Let's try this way. See if this hangs better.
I mean, I know Mike works with a few people, right, with like MGB and stuff, but I don't
Right.
think anyone's telling him what to
Who's the
sing or
guy?
not sing.
Scott Mikowski from
Yeah.
Max Creek plays in his
Yeah.
band, which kills me. Max Creek was around when I was a kid, and that guy's still kicking around.
Yeah.
All right,
But
my
anyway,
favorite.
I thought the Funky Bitch was really good, sung well, super funky, and the sex one I thought was one of the highlights of this set. Just a super chill Roggae. I'm gonna say it both ways so that at least everybody can be offended by it.
The one way
Uh,
sounds like a hair treatment that Paige needs.
yeah. But no, I was digging it. What do you think about that one?
It was probably my highlight for the night, for the first set. I love the delicate, gentle playing, and I love how Paige and Trey, I mean, they did those 2 albums together. They have a connection that's, I think Trey has connections with all of them on different levels, but they have a very telekinesis, maybe. I don't know. Paige started playing this pretty, little riff, and boom, Trey was right there with them, complimenting it. I don't know what you call it in musical
Yeah,
theory, but
I think you're describing it great. Um, yeah, no, I agree. You know what I always love about this song too is the groove is it almost has some hip hop influence to it. It's very subtle the way he does it, but instead of just doing it like straight, like it has that, so it's like swung, and he gives you that like the hip hop kick drum with the light, almost jazzier hands, and it creates a very like light, chill groove that everything else can just float over. This is the epitome of like stoner rock hanging out, chill vibe to me. I think, right? It
right.
just like it creates a whole scene in my head.
I could hear them vamping that and Guru come out or somebody,
Yeah,
one of those monotone rappers, Rakim or somebody. And think
yeah,
that'll
like
work.
earlier on R&B type of hip hop feel to it.
Yeah.
But he has, you know what it is too. I mean, not to go on a drummer aside, but I've heard lots of interviews with PHiSH where he's talking about when he was learning drums as a kid, he didn't realize the reverb and stuff on the studio tracks, so that would be like the like the echo and stuff. So when he'd play, he would always feather the hit. So he would literally hit the bass drum several times and like feather it off. And the thing with the snare. So then when you then take that and put it into like a samba or a R&B or a rock beat, it creates these intricate things. So he would listen to like Bonham and he would try to replicate it, but Bonham wasn't doing those ghost notes like that. He was just hitting it and cranking up the reverb.
Right.
But this is a good example of that. Anyway, I digress. Kill Devil Falls.
Kill Devil Falls, 11 minutes, micro jam, which I guess I don't know if we coined that term, but we use it a lot. It was good. Never I felt like at Kill Devil Falls we could have gone into something instead of it, song, 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 song through the night.
Yeah. I think I was a lot more tolerant of that pacing after the Set Your Soul Free to set things up. And that's one of the reasons I like doing that, because it kind of takes away that, anticipation or expectation.
Mhm.
I thought the Kill Devil Falls built up nicely from the bottom up, which that jam in particular, a lot of times will just be Trey forcing it and everybody else trying to hang with him, the way it is.
Mm.
But I thought it built up really nice and had some cool things going on. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Like, I always want more out of jams. Like, not always, but like 9 times out of 10, if you ask me about a jam, if I like, hey, would have liked 5 more minutes of it? I'm like, yeah, I think I
Mm.
would, right?
Right.
So I'm with you on that. I think a little
Uh,
bit more would have been good, but I'm all right.
right. You're right, SC. It has progressed from where it first started. And sometimes you get the 17-minute version there. They did ones this summer somewhere, didn't they? To close the
Yeah.
first set that was pretty huge.
There's been a few
Anyway.
big ones, I think. That's that's like that 46 days category. It's a
It can
very
go either way.
specific type of rocker jam vehicle.
Right. And it can go either way with whether it's a 10-minute or a 15.
Yeah, I was just looking at the jam chart for it. It's usually in the 15 range,
Right.
but there's a couple of post 20. So yeah.
Right.
Anyway, and then Steam. I like Steam. I think it's losing something for me. I don't know what. Like it
I'm
played it
getting
fine.
bored. I'm bored
Yeah, I
with
am.
it.
Is that it? Because like
Mm.
I really liked Steam a lot, and when Thread came out, I got really hyped on that trilogy. I was waiting for Epitaph, but like Thread, I fucking love, and I was like, I don't know. I used to be a lot higher in Steam, and it's not that they're not playing it well. It's just it's kind of stale. It
And they
hasn't
play it
done
every
anything
fifth
new with it.
show. It comes up every fifth show. Trey does it with the tab. Even though tonight I feel like it is losing steam.
Jeez.
It was steaming. I was waiting for the poop jokes. Steam in the mound. But I feel like what was I saying? Trey, the way he does it with the tab, he's taken over to now PHiSH does it with the vocal. He's the vocal is different between the two versions, but like I said, he does it every 5 nights with PHiSH, every 2 or 3 with tab. It's just oversaturated.
Yeah, it's very much oversaturated, and it's a song that can't be oversaturated. They play Sand, actually, ironically, with both bands at that same rotation level,
Hmm.
but Sand can hang with that rotation level because it has, so many interesting things it does, and
Scene's
it's
never going to be 20 minutes. It has a
no.
beginning, middle, and end. You know,
But anyway, I thought that my friend was nice. My friend was it was a very clean, locked in version.
it could have
Um,
had an arrow into crazy sometimes. They did the
yeah,
dissonance feedbacky thing at the end.
yeah, I didn't rate that. I just copied this from our friend. Our friend.
I mean, I'm just thinking out loud now because I said earlier it was song, 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 song. I love
Yeah,
my friend because it is that dissonant, that's my space. So when they
yeah,
do that, I'm like, this is cool. I can get with this.
and I like it too. And I thought rhythmically it was super precise, which is nice. Like, no slop at all. And then all right, so crazy sometimes. I'm gonna take this one because I was all like, "Hey, Mike's killing it tonight. I really like the way he sang Funky Bitch." And I really hate the way he sings some of these songs. And the thing that kills me is like somebody, I think Pete, Parkdale Pete, I don't know if he's on tonight. He commented in one of the videos, he's like, "You got to accept your hatred or love for Mike or something, right?" Like giving me shit, like come to terms with it. And the thing is, I actually like Mike a lot. Like I love his playing. I think he's phenomenal bass player, and when it's the right song, like Possum and Funky Bitch, I like his singing too. But man, this song just I don't know. I'm gonna keep. I'm just gonna keep saying it, and nobody, people get sick of it. But this kind of took the set down for me quite a bit. I'll be honest. It was the Mike
Ooh,
set killer.
really?
Yeah.
And you were like, damn, well, I already got a Mike song. You thought you were clear?
Well, I was happy. I thought I got a good one. I was like,
I
right. I was like, oh man,
I'm in
we
the
made it
clear. Good
through.
to go. All right, and then Walls of the Cave. My thing with Walls of the Cave is, um, my example is The Dead. From 80 they released Go to Heaven, then 87 they released In the Dark, and in between then they wrote a bunch of songs, but they wrote 4 songs that ended up on that album. I feel like when PHiSH came back, they felt like they needed to have a whole album, and then within the next year they had to do a whole nother album. So there's a lot of songs that maybe aren't the strongest songs, that maybe shouldn't have been. Maybe it should have been one album over that 2-year period, Round Room and Undermine combined.
I love those albums though. I think those albums hold up better than like Big Boat or Joy or Fuego. Honestly, I don't, it's hard to tell. So I don't disagree with you 100%, but I think another way of looking at it is that at release on LPs, their songs are never really fully developed and that great. And most the rest of their catalog goes through a period of rapid playing, right? Where they play at every other show and they get refined and develop and evolve and locked in. And the sad part of those two albums is a lot of those songs never got the time of day because they broke up. And then when they came back, everybody was looking forward. They started with Joy, and it was a long time, I think, before they got into rotation. I think like
Right.
Undermine made it in a lot. Pebbles, I think, did quite a few times, but like, you know,
Sense.
Sense, yeah. But
Song I
like
heard the
Seven
Ocean say.
Below has had some good ones, but that one I think needed a little bit more. Anyway, I like Walls of the Cave though. I actually think this is one of the few songs off of those albums that did get a pretty decent rotation. And so last time they played it was a fucking train wreck. It was
Did it
just
make up for it?
it did. I this what like if you don't like the song, that's fine. You're not gonna like this one, right? This wasn't the type of version that will change your mind. But if you like the song, you're happy with this version. It was
Right.
it was big at the end. There was no big flubs. They hit all the parts. It did its job, and I was really kind of it had redemption there, so
Right.
that was good.
And it's going to show up once the tour to close the set. So I like the
Yeah.
woodblock in the beginning.
Yeah, I like the piano and everything. I always thought they should do Squirming Coil and give you a fake out. Like you think that like they leave and you think it's the end of the set. And then after the end of his solo, he hits the chord for Walls of the Cave. They come back on and then that's the set closer because it's like such a
Right.
more powerful way to end the set.
How about let me throw this out here? Instead of when he hits that chord and goes into Walls of the Cave, he hits that chord and goes into the beginning of The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway.
Also would be cool.
I want
Do
my
a mesh
Genesis.
up.
I want my Genesis.
I know you do. I'll
All
fix
right.
it, though.
So we
All
got a
right.
cool graphic, don't we?
Yeah, let me run us through this. This is boom, housekeeping. So we got a lot of stuff coming up. So I made a little calendar. We're on the 11th there. So this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we were going to be back with after shows, all of them being 50 minutes after Encore. Also, for the members, we will be having set break hangs. They've been awesome. I've really enjoyed them. Appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us. Um, Sunday mornings, we are going to be live streaming at 10 a.m. This Sunday, I'll be sitting down with Megan from HF Pod. We're going to discuss the fall tour and what they have going on. They've been doing a lot of cool stuff. If you've been following them, the 40-year anniversary stuff, and their recaps. And then the following week, sitting down with Brian from Attendance Bias. He's a friend of the show and friend of the channel. We love talking to him, so that'll be cool. And then on the 18th, next Wednesday, a week from today, actually, finally, Wook Plus Live will be back, and we'll have the whole crew and do a comprehensive review of the tour and whatever else Wook news is going on. And then on the 25th, we'll be with special guests to be announced at a later point. Also, those are the badges. I know I said I was going to share them, so there they are. Cool. Isn't that nicer to see a visual aid? I feel like we spit all this shit off every night, and people are like, "All right, it's too much." I feel like if you see it, it helps.
It would be cool
Helps
if
me.
it would be cool if we had a little like guy or something that could point it out.
Right. Animated.
Like Clippy.
Giving me more work to do. Yeah, it'd be really cool if you could like animate the whole thing. Yeah. No, Megan is great. I'm super excited to talk to her. And she wanted to come on for the summer tour recap, but there was a conflict, so she couldn't make it. So we've been planning this for a while to do the fall tour recap. So I can't wait to talk to her. But anyway, let's get into this second set, because this was one hell of a set. It was really wild. So as soon as they came out with Disease, I was like, haha, Kev's call of Tweezer was wrong. They are saving it for Chicago. I like this Disease though. I think I jinxed it though, because about 13 minutes into it, I was like, Dayton Disease has a good ring to it, and then they kind of wrapped it up, and I was like, I shouldn't. I didn't even say it out loud. I just had the thought, and it
Right.
went away.
Trey did a nice thing. I mean, the jam was it was what you expect. I'm not gonna stand it and say it was the greatest thing ever. Down with Disease is a song that
Has big
demands
jams.
this kind of jam, this
Yeah.
amount of time. I thought it was really nice though. Toward the end of it, Trey started playing the signaling that he was going back into it, but didn't ripcord it back in. He played it a little bit. They played a little more. He played it. He like lured everybody in, and then it was pretty smooth. They had to speed up. You could tell that there was a drastic shift in tempo when they finally hit the
I love how patient he is with those returns. He's been pretty consistent. But yeah, otherwise I think pretty serviceable.
Right. Somebody said Ruby Waves would separate.
Oh yeah, I don't remember who it was, but it was a good call. Whoever it was.
We'll have to take notes next time.
Yeah, I probably won't do that. But this
probably
was a monster Ruby Waves. And not only just based on length, but the first section of the jam felt really epic. I had a lot of gravitas to it. There was a lot of soaring, big movement to it, and kind of SE's claiming responsibility for that call. It kind of had like a sense of it climaxing and resolving and ending a few times.
At like 20 minutes in. Minutes in, they went back to the theme, and then it got spacey, and there was another 10 minutes,
Yeah, well, after that big climax, it got like this off-kilter space, and then a few minutes later, it just started building up again, and we're like, oh, we're still going, and then it climaxed again. I was like, all right, we're done, and then I kind of just like zoned out, and then it got into bleeps and bloops, which we haven't heard in a while, and got a little bit weird there. It really just had that wild exploratory. We're not settling, we're not stopping, we're just forced in a good way, right? Like I don't want it to sound like where it's like it didn't work, but it also maybe forced isn't the right word. Maybe deliberate. It was a very deliberate, but spacey exploration.
Right. And they closed it, which was great. Jacob, no, I did not hear Midnight Rider. I kept thinking that I was hearing a 38 special song, so that's where my mind was, and I couldn't place what it was. But yeah, it could have been Midnight Rider. They've been toying with Mountain Jam for 3 tours now, maybe more.
Yeah. Yeah. Forever, it feels like.
Yeah.
I mean, a long time.
Right. Ruby Waves, it's just, I really, once they take off, it is usually fantastic. There's I'm not sure what it is about the song. Maybe it's because it's a simpler song and it isn't something like a Walls of the Cave that is very rigid and defined and in sections. Ruby Waves basically a riff that they just
Walls of
play
the
off
Cave
of.
isn't a vehicle.
Right.
The reason is it's not. I don't think it's a simpler song, but they designed the off ramp and on ramp, like they treat it as a launch pad, right? Ever since Alpine, because it wasn't originally originally have the launch
That
pad
was the
built in.
joke, right? Yeah, that was my conspiracy theory.
Can
Ruby Waves open a show? My God. Yeah, sure. If you open the show with Ruby Waves, maybe that'd be good. Go grab a beer, hit the head, come
I
back
agree.
with a jam. It is batting like 900.
This summer they had on the anniversary of the Alpine one, they had another phenomenal Ruby Waves.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
So
There's a lot of songs that I'm not crazy about the written part, and because they're jam vehicles, they find a soft spot in our heart. But that's great. I mean, that's fine. I would rather
That's
that
what I'm
than
saying,
yeah.
That's where I am with it now. It's not going anywhere. Trey has latched onto it and he's put it in the upper echelon. So,
and I think the fan base at large don't want it to go anywhere. I think it's won over more people than not at this point.
Right.
Now
the
love
next
Lifeboy.
Yeah, it should be around more. Another beautiful, delicate song like Roggae, which again goes to the patience and a brilliant lyric. Just one of my favorite turns of PHiSH lyric because it's beautifully demented, the overpraying thing.
And I doubt there was the purpose of it was with everything going on, but just like everyone I talked to, there's like this whole thoughts and prayers, huge, obviously, right? And it felt appropriate, whether you actually pray or not. It just felt like it felt with the vibe of the world right now, like it just was like an appropriate song. I love it though. I think these are the songs that they got to use for those ballad points, the slow points of the set. I think it gives you the breather without sucking the life out of the set.
Well, have you noticed something I was thinking about, which you're going to hate me, Chicago people, is none of the Ghost of the Forest songs except About to Run. There hasn't been a Beneath the Sea of Stars, Life Beyond a Dream, Drift While You're Sleeping. There hasn't been a More. There hasn't been a Miss You. Like all that stuff has been MIA, which is fine with me, but seems odd.
Hey, Kev.
Huh?
Ruby Waves was on Ghost of the Forest.
I know. Okay. Right. But you know what I'm saying? There's these songs that have always shown up 2 or 3 times every,
Yeah.
Yeah, Setlist Escape, right? They busted out. Thank you, Jeremy. But see, that's not a normal one. Normally you get the Beneath the Sea of Stars or the Drift While You're Sleeping.
Their catalog is deep. It's very deep. None of those songs have to show up.
Right.
Somebody kept saying, "Oh, you're gonna get Soul Planet." I think they do they could do 30 shows before Soul Planet has to
I think
show
they only
up.
did one Soul Planet the whole summer.
Right. That's what I mean. Like the catalog's deep and getting deeper. So let's talk about this Piper. Let's talk about this Piper. How did you
I don't
feel?
think it
was
was
this slow?
It wasn't as good as Dick's.
Really?
Maybe it's because I was there in the moment, but I felt like the end was longer at Dick's and it got faster. Instead of having slow builds, now it seems like they're speeding it up.
Okay. Chat, what did you guys think about the Piper? I want to give them a minute because I don't know, man. I was kind of feeling like
Jason said he thought it was going to slow build in the very
I kind of felt like it was finally a little bit slower building than the last several Pipers. I mean, it wasn't like old school slow build, but it wasn't like the last couple that they played jumped right in at tempo. This had some build to it. I was sad. I was pleased with it. I mean, honestly, I was like, this is all right.
Yeah. I do think a no repeat tour is what it takes to hear a Lifeboy.
Yeah.
To answer that, but yes, I thought they were going to do the Piper last night, so I'm a night behind. Probably get the tweezer on Friday.
Yeah, in Chicago. That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know. Piper, I miss the slow build. I feel like it's one of those songs that is a little bit a shell of itself. But
Yeah.
on the other side of it, like I said, there are a couple of the recent ones. It seems like the end, they're really trying to get there. They're trying to breathe that life back into it.
Yeah. I think if we got to go back and look and see, I'm with you, Martino. I think if you got to go back and look after the fact and compare it directly to some of the slower builds, I think the expectations and the memories and I think there was some slow build to it. I don't think it's quite as much, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I felt when I was listening to it tonight, I was like, there was a little bit of build there. Anyway, then we get number lines. I'm still not on. I'm not on the positive side of this.
Right. It deserves an arrow because it got spacey at the end of Piper, and Trey didn't numberline this numberline. He let it go for a minute, and the rest of the band was there before they hit the opening. We've talked about this before. It's a difficult song to segue into because it has a very clear beginning. This one, it kind of spaced a little bit, and I felt like it bridged that.
For what it is, it was done, executed very well. I don't know, Jacob. This one is one that I will readily admit that it's a taste thing. It's a personal preference. I know a lot of people that love that song, like a lot of people, like surprising amounts of people.
Right. There's the joke about being numberlined. I love it. I tell you what, I have the best time when they play that. Everybody's Snoopy dancing. It's really fantastic. I just love when they do it.
You know, like it's personal experience too that dictates some of the things you have preferences on.
You saw a mess of them.
I saw like the first 10 or 20 shows in 2009 and 10. I caught one every show because I didn't go on tour. So whatever shows I hit for those 3 or 4 years, I caught number line. So at one point, my stats, I had 20 number lines and 2 fucking whatever song that I wanted to see. Right. And so I think I've just for a long time would get the groan, they go, they break into it. I'm like, oh man, fucking number line. So now I don't think I've ever shaken that. Right. I don't know. It's fine. It's a fine enough song.
I have some songs when they play it, I'm like, this is cool, but I'm not getting something else, is what I think in my head.
Yeah.
But numberline is not. I have fun with that. I have fun with that.
It's that, and it's also commonly a ripcord. Right.
Oh, right.
I think those are the two things that I don't like about it, but they save it. And I was this is what my thought was. And I was kind of thinking about you, Kev, on this. When they went into number line, I know, man. It's hard to shake, SC. 13 years is not long enough. It is jarring, Savvy. It's super jarring. Anyway, so they go number line. I'm like, fourth quarter. I'm like, don't you fucking do this, because I was loving this show. Absolutely loving it. And I was getting really nervous during number line. I was like, what can they do to save this? I think as soon as they got into the Beatles and doing I'm the Walrus, I was like, perfect choice, killing it, fun. Mike's the Walrus. I remember during the Bakers, they kept shouting that, and I didn't know if there was a whole story to it, or if it's just a inside thing that they keep shouting.
In the song Glass Onion, when the White Album, Lennon sings, here's another clue for you all, the Walrus was Paul. Because Lennon sings I am the Walrus and sings I am the Walrus in that. And then he corrects it later and says the Walrus was Paul. And I think they're playing off that.
And then Trey's like, the Walrus St. Paul. It's Mike. Mike is the Walrus. Yeah.
Right.
And it's been an ongoing thing. They've done it several times. So it's cool to see the lore kind of show its head up again and pop up again tonight.
Lots of great feedbacky, nasty guitar.
Yeah, the wall of sound. Well, it's a day in the life really where it hits. But even this, they capture a sound that I feel like is hard to capture live, right? Because like the Beatles did in the studio with all this overdubbing and shit. So like my buddy, well, you know me, right? He tours in a Beatles tribute band like
Mm.
nationally and does like these huge shows and stuff, and like really geeks out about it. And he's like, yeah, that's not easy what they do, the way they like replicate those sounds. That's like very, it's very cool the way they do it. So I love hearing it. I think what Katie missed it, right? She wasn't there. She probably was pretty upset that she
No,
didn't
yeah, she
see it.
was.
She
Yeah, she
was there?
messaged me. No, she messaged
Oh yeah, I
me.
bet.
Fuck fish. I was like, yeah. Love it, love it.
Yeah.
All right, so Egg in a Hole. I love Egg in a Hole, and it has the Chicago line. That was fantastic. Good for them. I wouldn't even have thought of it, and it was a great little nod to the next shows.
Yeah. I love the start of it and how dark and big it is. It took me a second too to recognize it because they were playing it for a while, fairly frequently, and then stopped. But then once they got to the lines, I was like, oh yeah, hell yeah. But no, I dug it, and that Possum, man, that had a little extra to it.
Another
That
road song.
That was an awesome Possum.
Yes, it was good. Jacob, my favorite Beatles tune that PHiSH does that they don't ever do, I've only seen them do it once, is Cry Baby Cry. I really wish they would bring that back for the cool down spot one night.
I'm probably gonna go cliche, but I love Day in a Life the way they do that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think my first show I caught it as an encore. I also like While My Guitar Gently Weeps, but that's not, But I don't know what other Beatles songs they do.
They do the whole White Album.
Well, not in heavy rotation. Not every song in heavy rotation.
I mean, but there's a lot of cool things like Helter Skelter or Me and My Monkey, or
Yeah, but I mean, how many times they've done that?
Oh,
Like,
Guitar
twice?
Gently Weeps. They do that one.
I just said that.
It's you.
That was the other choice.
Day in the Life. I Am the Walrus.
I said A Day in a Life.
Weeps.
My Guitar Gently Weeps. Yeah.
Number 9. Yeah.
Number 9 mashed up with Ninth Cube would be fucking cool.
Number 9.
They don't do mashups, so that's more of like an Humphreys thing.
That is.
Yeah.
Or an OTL thing. All right, we'll be back Friday night.
If
you become a member, we'll see you at Set Break.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.